50 schoolgirls in Nigeria recently escaped captivity after being abducted by armed Islamist-linked group. Fellas, we got some good news in Nigeria. Yes, good news in Nigeria. Isn't that amazing? It is amazing. Absolutely. This is Nigeria right here on the map. Nigeria is a place that's very interesting. You know, it makes a lot of good music. You know this guy? His name is Burna Boy. You know this one? Davido. You know this one? Wizkid, right? You know them. Yeah, some of the biggest musicians in Africa. Okay, biggest music artists playing Afrobeat. You know, everybody loves Afrobeat right now. It's a vibe, Afrobeat, Burna Boy, Davido and stuff. Yeah, so they are Nigerians. Nigeria is a very interesting country. It's one of the richest in terms of petroleum in Africa. I think the richest African man or richest black man, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Aliko Dangote, I'm sure you heard about him, is very much involved in many issues. I mean, many positive things, petroleum, cement, foods, and many other things. Very rich guy. Great stuff. Anyway, we're talking about Nigeria. We're not talking about Aliko Dangote today. 50 schoolgirls in Nigeria recently escaped captivity after being abducted by armed Islamist-linked group. Congratulations to Nigeria. Congratulations, Pia Makofi. We like that. So obviously this incident is part of one of the largest mass kidnapping in the country in recent history. So if you don't know, Nigeria has a lot of kidnapping happening. Unfortunately, every single day, people are worried. Okay, every week we hear stories of people being abducted. They abduct people, they keep them there, they call their families asking for ransoms. Sometimes it's paid, they're freed, sometimes they're unalive. They shoot them and they take them. Sometimes they go to schools and they abduct females. They take only females, okay, young girls below 18 years old. They take them away. For what? You can imagine. These people are northerners, okay? You can see Nigeria two parts, north and the south. The north is mostly Muslim, okay? Hausas and Fulanis. The south is a lot more people. Anyway, we're not going to get into that today. You have the Igbos in the east and the Yorubas on the west. It's a lot of things. Let's focus on the north. Now, in the northern part of Nigeria, it's mayhem happening. I'm sure you heard Donald Trump talk about recently saying he want to come to Nigeria and bring some peace because Nigeria seemed not to be able to take care of it. He was talking after many Christians were being unalived in Nigeria.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition.
Now, 50 girls that were abducted by armed Islamists have found a way to escape. It's a great news. We're very happy to hear about that. On November 21st, 2025, gunmen stormed St. Mary's Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papiri, Niger State. They took about 300 children and 12 teachers. They were abducted in a raid and making this one of Nigeria's biggest school kidnapping. 300 people were taken away. Imagine, 300 people. Now, this happened on November 21st, 2025. On November 23rd, 2025, 50 girls managed to flee their captors and reunite to their families. On the 21st, they are kidnapped. On the 23rd, they found a way to run away and go back to their families. And we're very happy to hear that. Now, this is good news, right? Congratulations. Pick up my coffee. Great stuff. We like that. We like stories like this. Let me just remind you here that a couple of days ago, the Nigerian government was saying they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that some of these girls that are abducted go back home. Okay, just before that, there were about 25 girls that were abducted again in a school. A school supposed to have security, a school supposed to have intelligence services like looking, and a school supposed to have vigilantes making sure that nothing happens. Now, people are asking questions. You abduct 300 children and 50 escape. How did 50 escape? People are asking questions like, how did 50 escape? I mean, you can understand if 3 escaped or 4 escaped or 5. Like 50 escaped? You didn't shoot them like you usually do? You didn't do anything? How did they escape? How did they escape? And people are criticizing the government, saying that, well, maybe this is a game played by themselves. Some people are saying maybe the government knows exactly what's happening where these girls are. And because of the pressure coming from Trump and everything else, the government needs to show to the world that they are very well capable of regaining some of these girls. Because let me remind you here, when Boko Haram took children, hundreds are still missing from the time they took some of the girls. Before they took 200 something girls, 100 are still missing today. Now, how these 50s ran away? How did they run away? and reunited with their families after the government said we're going to do a thorough job to make sure we're getting them back. So people are asking questions. Do you think maybe these people are right to say the government knows what's happening and this is just a way to sort of, send a message to the world out there? Well, you see some of the girls, 50 of them came back. So we are very well capable of getting them back. Or do you think this is really genuine that these 20, that's out of 300 children, 50 managed to come back? Where about the teachers? Where are the teachers? I think it's interesting to mention, even though people don't like saying it, that people that are abducting people in Nigeria are Muslims. People that are unaliving other people from church, because many people are being killed at church, are Muslims. Now, this is not about Muslims against Christians. This is about a tendency. You look for churches that go into mosques and abduct people in Nigeria, you won't find it. We need to mention this. You don't say it has nothing to do with nothing. I think it's repetitive. When it's repetitive, you need to understand. So these basically are people that consider themselves as Muslim and they believe their version of Muslim doesn't tolerate other people. They don't tolerate passive Muslims. They don't tolerate Christians. And this is a real problem. I mean, listen to this man, an American congressman that says something interesting to say.
And I want to ask this question, because this seems to be sort of part of the central argument. Well, this isn't necessary. Well, certainly the Trump administration believed it was necessary the first go around. And I want to ask this question. Did things improve when the Biden administration removed the CPC?
Thank you for your question, Representative Hyde.
And just for the record, I'm seeing a number of heads shaking no in the right behind you. And these are people that may have a little better information than what the American media is, and they're all nodding their head right now. So go ahead.
Thank you for your question, Representative Hyzenga. As you mentioned, violence has increased over the last several years. It was unfortunate that the Biden administration chose to remove Nigeria as a CPC in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and President Trump's bold action to redesignate them is a wake-up call to the Nigerian government. And as you mentioned, extremist religious ideology is, of course, a primary motivator of these attacks. The attackers themselves use religious language. They target churches. They target Christians on holidays.
Proportionally, do we see Christians killing Muslims in Christian areas of Nigeria the way that we are seeing radicalized Islamists killing Christians in Muslim areas of Nigeria?
What I can tell you, Representative Hyzenga, is that Christians are disproportionately targeted based on their population.
Exactly. And that was really their question. Is the Tinubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is.
That's what it is, fellas. People are asking questions. 300 people were abducted. 50 managed to escape. 50 is a great number, and people are asking questions. A few days ago, a government jailed this man, Nandi Kanu. This is a separatist leader. This is the Igbo man that leads a group of Nigerian people that don't want to be part of Nigeria. Let me just remind you here that this is Igbo people, okay? Igbo people in the east, Yoruba in the west, north is with Hausa and Fulanis. Now, in 1960, Nigeria got independence. Let me remind you that Nigeria has many different ethnic groups. Over 500, I believe, languages, many different people, different culture, different beliefs, different everything. Now, when the British came, they forced all of these people to stay together. They created what they call a country named Nigeria. Now, these people, Igbo people, don't believe the Nigerians. A lot of them still believe they deserve what they call Biafra, which is for them a country that should exist. So in 1967, big war started between the Igbo people in the Biafra against what is called Nigeria, because the people of Biafra wanted to have their own country, because they feel like they were being marginalized, they were being looked down upon, they were not being treated accordingly, not appreciated. So they wanted to create their own thing. Now, they went to war from 1967 against Nigeria, the country, and unfortunately many people were unalive. It was so difficult to beat them that the Nigerian government had to asphyxiate their route by blocking food, medicine, and all of that. And now many people in Biafra were unalive from famine, lack of food. It was very difficult for them. They didn't beat them with weapons, they beat them with famine. Now, up until now, many people, many Nigerians still believe they shouldn't be Nigerians. They don't want to be part of it. Are they wrong to believe that? Question mark. Now, this guy, Nnamdi Kanu, was arrested because they say he's a terrorist. He's inciting people into hatred and terrorism things. Well, many Nigerians believe it's not truth. What they're trying to do is to silence him because he's telling the truth about the government. This is what some Nigerians believe.
As in Nnamdi Kanu may broadcast, and so what? And you convict him for terrorism for mere words.
He's telling the truth about the government complacency on terrorists in the north, but they don't like it that the Igbo people want to have their own country. I mean, people in the government majorities are Muslims, okay, and people that are doing all the things in the north, like they say, are mostly, curiously, Muslims. And this again is not about the Muslims and the Christians. We're just stating facts. And people that are saying that there's no Christian genocide in Nigeria are Muslims. Okay, it's curious. We also want to see Christians say there's no genocide. I think it's interesting to see 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 preeminent Christians say there's no Christian genocide. Now, what is crazy is we have not seen them arrest terrorists. Not many of them, putting them to jail, but this was very publicized. The situation of this Nnamdi Kanu being publicized like the separatist is going to jail forever, for life imprisonment. I mean, how many people has he killed? I'm not sure. Has he killed? Let us know. Maybe we don't know. But how many people the terrorists have killed and unalive every single day? People are still saying there's no genocide. They are not doing anything. Some people in the north are saying those terrorists are our brothers. How do you live in a condition like that? Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. Do you think they arrested him wrongly? Do you think he should go to jail because some of his people are accused of doing negative things too? Is this manipulation? Are we being lied to? God bless.